Your Majesty. Yeah. We have a friend like that who's organized the old guys' breakfast. So it's all us old guys with this giant table over at Dance Corner Island. This whole side, half, is all car guys. They own property, they got hot cars, old suit. This whole half is all musician. And we're talking about gigs, and it's, and then we kind of intertwine here and there. But you know, the Godfather, what I call him the Godfather, he's organized this. So every time I come in, I go, "You're on my knees." I kiss his ring. He goes, "Get that." It's great. Yeah, my liege. I do that next time. Oh, it's great. Awesome. That's fun. Yeah, we got about 3 minutes. Ding. Normally this place is full. So, but he said they're in that meeting, so hopefully. We are on. I'm not sure. Okay, we're all set. Yep. Ready, guys?
Thank you, Unity Band. Welcome back, John. Jeff is over in Unity Village right now at the Posse Fest, so he's with a bunch of other New Thought musicians down there. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum. I welcome you all here, and for those of you online, welcome. And thank you so much for your feedback. We had some feedback about sound. We have made some adjustments on that, so it's really important you let us know what your experience is out there. We do know that we're living with this endemic called COVID, so we encourage you all to do whatever self-protocols make you feel comfortable. There are masks near the front and hand sanitizers on the table. It's a self-serve coffee bar back there. You can help yourself at any time, and I do encourage you to sign up to be a host for the day. In fact, there's really strong reference to this in the spiritual practice. This husband and wife were talking about who should be making the coffee in the morning. And the wife knew she had a winner because she says, it says right here in the Bible, Hebrews. So, okay. Our prayer team is active. If you have a prayer request, it's over by, the prayer box is over by the entryway there. Our prayer team will pray with you for the next 30 days, and then we forward it to Silent Unity for an additional 30 days of prayer. Updates on all things are up on social media, Facebook, our website. And if you're new to Unity, there is a connection card on the table. If you could fill that out, our ushers will get it after service. If you're online, we'd love to hear from you, an email. And Jane, are you hosting? Huh? You're on. So Jane is live online hosting for any of you joining us virtually. Let's begin with our spiritual morning coffee, a little prayer for our health and wholeness. Let's affirm together. Here I am, Spirit, celebrating life. The individual cells of my body are free to unite together to support me in health and wholeness. Ownership of disease is a defamation of our character. I release any thoughts of disease, and I affirm my strength and resiliency. Stronger together, every organ of my body strives to work in harmony as one living system, reverberating and regenerating as a part of the universal life force. Wholeness and vitality are made manifest within me, through me, and as me, and so it is. Amen. Our mission, so by the way, this is, the 15th was the start of Latinx. This term keeps changing, so I'm stumbling over it. Heritage Month, so we're honoring that through the September 15th through the October 15th. Our mission statement is to spiritually awaken to our oneness with God, with each other, and with all creation. And this is spawned out of our vision, seeing a world that is powerfully transformed through a growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. We understand that the shared part is so important, that it's not a right and perfect path, but it's about honoring ourselves and each other, whatever path we're on, wherever we are on that path. So let us affirm together. The enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us. The compassion of the Christ moves through us. The power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us. The presence of Allah surrounds and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. Now we're going to join together with some music to bring us into consciousness. So welcome Stacey up here today. Greg is away this week, and Stacey has graciously stepped in for song leading.
Let's hear you sing this together with me, okay? You can help me along. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
And we just breathe in that harmony of consciousness. We'd like to start by praying for our neighbors. I know there's been a lot of weather happening around the world. Alaska actually has had some flooding in the last 24 hours. There's a typhoon that hit Japan. I think Puerto Rico is getting a hurricane coming through there. The world is in flux. Does anybody else have anything on their heart this morning they'd like to hold in prayer together as a community? I'd like to hold our friends in prayer from Olympia, Washington. They're visiting us, and hold your community in prayer as you go through your transition of spiritual home. It's always a journey. It's always a journey. Okay, well, let's just take a moment to close our eyes and open our hearts to bless our neighbors, all those with whom we share this beautiful blue planet. Whatever the outer circumstances, we know God is at the center, that God has the peace and the strength, the wisdom and guidance to move through whatever challenges are in front of them. We hold them in our hearts, seeing the very best, the highest and greatest. And we especially celebrate this morning the country of Ukraine, and the great courage and strength and perseverance that they have brought forward in this time of trial and tribulation. So for this time together, for this wonderful planet and all the neighbors that we share it with, we say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. And Blessing Unity Spiritual Center, which of course is you and I, and we're going to keep it real simple this week. It's a simple affirmation: I allow the goodness of God to overtake me. And I'd like us to affirm that 3 times so we kind of get it. So together, I allow the goodness of God to overtake me. I allow the goodness of God to overtake me. I allow the goodness of God to overtake me. I hope you're getting just a little nervous on that, because that's opening the door for really big stuff. That's out of control, the goodness of God to overtake us. So at the table, I invite you to have a little conversation as opposed to hugging, reach out, and touch time. So I was wondering, have you ever had a dream come true? Maybe it was a dream you dreamt or a dream that you envisioned. But if you'd like to share at the table, have you ever had a dream come true? Let's take a moment. Some I'm glad didn't come true.
Definitely.
I think I had more active dreams when I was younger. I remember wanting to work for a TV network, and then I did.
Right.
You know.
It's like going to college for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden, while I'm here. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to throw out that next farther dream.
It is. It's kind of balancing between living in the now and hoping for the future.
So expanding, that's why I like this goodness of God to overtake us, that we just expand into, the dream can just be the expansion without.
Somehow it's easier for me to dream when I was littler than now.
Yeah, it seemed like there was just so much
Yep.
yet to do. Yes, I get you.
And there is still so much to do. It's just
There-
our mindset. We've got to get control of that.
Well, yeah, that we're still creating a lot. Yeah. Okay, we're going to come back together here in song, and if you'd like to stand, you're welcome to as we take it up a few notches.
Up to a higher place. Up far beyond this time and space. Up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Up to a higher place. Up to the planet's face. Up the front page to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up to a higher place. Up far beyond this time and space. Up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher
morning. I'm Kathy Asif, your platform assistant for today. Morning. Our daily word is thoughtful, inspired by the book of Hebrews. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. Today we bring the love and peace of God to all of our encounters by being thoughtful. More than politeness and deeper than kindness, thoughtfulness means we consider the comfort and happiness of others equal to our own. Our intention is to let those in our lives know what they mean to us. We may reach out to someone who needs an encouraging word, letting them know they have what it takes to succeed. We may surprise someone with a kind act, anticipating a need and taking care of something for them before they have to ask. Each thoughtful word and act lets those in our life know how important they are to us and how worthy they are of our time and attention. Let us affirm together, my mind, thoughts, and deeds are a blessing. Each month we focus on one of Unity Spiritual Center's Lansing's core values. This month is our core value of inclusiveness. The background on the slide is the Disability Pride flag. The 5 colors represent the variety of needs and experiences of anyone disabled: invisible and undiagnosed disabilities, physical disability, neurodivergence, psychiatric disability, and sensory disabilities. The diagonal of the strips represent cutting across barriers that separate disabled people. The black background is mourning and rage for those who are victims of ableist violence. We strive to be a community that is authentically welcoming and affirming. We consciously work to ensure we are a safe, inclusive community where the intrinsic worth of each person is valued and honored. Let us affirm together. We embrace all people as expressions of God. Tuesday is the last day for vendors to sign up for our Quantum Healing Day. So if you or someone you know has been thinking about doing this, now is the time to do it. A Course in Love returns this Wednesday, September 21st at 7 p.m. Lucille Olson will be facilitating this life-empowering book study. Everyone is welcome. A Course in Miracles have begun their fall sessions on Zoom on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. You are welcome to drop in to any and all sessions with Carol and Dan Maynard. Sundays at 9:30 a.m., Unity offers Sunday Adult Learning Time, or what we call SALT. Next Sunday, Craig Young will talk to us about the use of crystals and how they impact us. Coming up September 26th is an exciting new course, A Course in Abundance. The course offers a unique and effective approach to living in the spirit of abundance. This is a Monday night Zoom class in conjunction with the Speakeasy Ministry outside of Chicago. There are flyers about the course on the information table as well as on our website. You need to pre-register for this course. The registration fee is $81, which includes all materials. A timely reminder that Unity is an Earth Care congregation. Currently, we are offering you easy ways to recycle batteries, clean styrofoam, and a new item, dental waste, like used toothbrushes and toothpaste tubes. Styrofoam and dental waste bins are in the activity room. We also continue to collect can tabs for Ronald McDonald House. There are containers for these along with used batteries by the information table. On each table there are several yellow sheets with information about September activities. Please take one for easy reference. Additional information on our activities team can be found on our website, our weekly e-news, and our information rack. If you have any questions or would like to sign up for the weekly e-news, leave a message with the church office by phone or email, or use the connection cards on your table. It's now my pleasure to invite our very own Razz to share some special music with us.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see 'em bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I see babies cry, how watch them grow. They'll learn much more than you ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies crying, I'll watch them grow. They'll learn much more than you ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. That's it, that's it, that's it.
And I don't know if you appreciate how hard it is to sing and play drums. I mean, you got all four things going, plus your voice. Yeah, well done, well done. I've been doing a series, Millionaires of the Bible, inspired by Catherine Ponder's books. And I put that slide up there with all the stars in it because Abraham was promised he would have offspring as numerous as the stars of the sky. So I'd like to start out with a draw for $1 million, like ramp it up. So what I've done, on your table there's a number. I'm going to pull a number. And if it's your table, let me know. Table 15. You got table 15. Okay. Now, listen very closely to these instructions. The chair with the arms on it that Lori's sitting in is number 1. And then you go clockwise, chair 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to pull out a random number. And that number is 2. 1, 2. There you go. Yeah. Clockwise. Yes. So come on up and... I know, we make you work. Make you work. And they're going to go back in, because there's no one shot. There you go. Enjoy. Don't spend it all in one place. So we've been talking about the idea of raising our consciousness, expanding our consciousness. And it's always about a gradual shift. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's about not only us as individuals, but as a community. We were this tiny little church on a corner for a long time, and now we have this campus. So growing into ourselves, this is what we're trying to expand our consciousness to grow into a greater good. So this, again, is a gradual process. Just get us thinking about things a little bit differently. So we're talking about, when we talk about prosperity and abundance, we're talking about our health. I mean, the last 2 months, you've had over 1 million breaths. You probably didn't bless them 1 million times as you went through that. Certainly our finances, blessing that for whatever we have. Our relationships. You know, you get to the point that nothing really matters if you don't have loved ones to share it with, friends, family, whatever that choice might be. The prosperity of ideas, creativity, being able to just channel to create something, whether it's cooking dinner or a piece of art. This is just a great prosperity consciousness to be able to create. If you're in a career that you have those skills and thoughts to move forward. And then finally, my one that I struggle with is time. Having all the time I need to do the things that I want to do. And you know, we never know how much time we have left. Just last night, my roommate from college, I found out, made her transition. And you just never know. You never know. It's the last one. So just a little review of where we've been about the millionaires in the Bible in Genesis. We start out with Adam. And Adam really is remind us that we were born as an original blessing with it all. But something happens within us where we self-create separation from Spirit, from God, that we think we're not worthy. This error thought comes in. And then we met Abraham, who signifies our faith journey. And a faith journey isn't like newly paved roads in Michigan. A faith journey does have, you know, a few potholes, detours, the orange and white cones, where you got to go off to the side that you're not expecting. But there has never been a time that we haven't been detoured that there wasn't a gift in it for us. And then we touched on Isaac, which literally means joy. Joy not from accomplishing anything, but just joy. It's okay just to feel okay, to be joyful. Then last week we talked about Jacob. Metaphysically means supplanting thought as our thoughts grow, as our thoughts change. We have to learn to let go of the old thoughts as the new ones, because we can't have opposing thoughts in our mind. I want to tell you a little story about growing corn. There's a lot of corn now. It's that wonderful time of year when all the fields are being harvested. And there's this one farmer who every year got the blue ribbon at the state fair. It was almost a given. Hardly anybody wanted to compete. He always got it. The reporter one day said, "How do you manage to do this every year? What's your secret?" He says, "I give my best seeds to my neighbors." Because when the corn grows by cross-fertilization. And if they're growing poor quality corn, the pollen from their plants are going to go on mine. So I give them my best seed. And I thought, wow, isn't that a great thing to strive for, that we're always helping our neighbors with our very best, because that helps us to be better. You know, whatever that might be, that whether it's a task or a friendship, whatever, but yeah, helping our neighbors to grow good corn so that we grow great corn. So today we've moved up to Joseph, as you might have guessed from my multi-dream coat here, multicolored dream coat. Joseph was the 11th of 12 brothers. Now, remember there were Jacob had 4 women in his life, 2 wives and 2 handmaidens. So it wasn't all one woman giving birth to all these. And his father just loved Jacob. He was so special, so he gave him this beautiful coat. And let's say, if you're 7, 8 years old and you have this magnificent coat, maybe even 10, and none of your brothers have one, you might get a little arrogant. And Joseph was a little arrogant. Not to mention, look at this coat. Am I going to be able to be out shepherding with this finery on? Well, no, of course not. So he was always kind of given special treatment. He was, trained in reading and writing and all those kind of things, while his brothers had to toil. So there's a little animosity going on there. And kids sometimes, there's no filter, right? They don't know when not to share. And Joseph had this thing about he had dreams. And he had this dream that there were 11 bundles of wheat bowing down to him. And he had to share that with his brothers, and of course it did not escape their notice that there was 11 of them, and there's 11 bundles of wheat. Then he has another dream. He goes, guys, you won't believe what I dreamt. I dreamt that the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me. He did not know when to shut up. So there's a lot of family stuff going on in this great family. So if he shares his dreams, the brothers, they got to get rid of him. This is just way too much. They're hurting. They're hurting a lot. Their father favors them, and he's lording it over them, if you will. So they come up with a plan. And one day when they're out with the herds, 11 of the brothers gang up on him and throw him into a pit. Now Reuben, one of the oldest of the brothers, represents understanding, and his plan was, okay, I can't take on all my brothers, but I'll come back later and get Joseph out of the pit. Meanwhile, some of the other brothers stayed by. This caravan came by of slave traders, and somebody sold Joseph off to the slave traders. They got $15 for him. They didn't care. They would have paid him to take him off. But then they thought, oh, we got to go home. What are we going to tell Dad? So they got Joseph's coat, and they soaked it in goat blood. And they took it home to their father, and they go, Dad, we're so sorry. This wild animal got Joseph. And here's all that's left. The dream coat soaked in blood. And Jacob was just so crushed because this was his favorite son. He just saw so much in him. So, from the top of the world, where he had it all, to the pit of despair. Pit happens. It does. Amazing, amazing journeys happen to us. It's never fun to be in the pit. What's really key is that we don't shut off when we're in the pit. There's the old saying that it's hell in the hallway. We're not supposed, when God opens one door, when God shuts one door, another one opens, but it's hell in the hallway. You're not supposed to live there. You're not supposed to take up residency. That's just part of our journey. It may take us a long while to go through it, but it's part of our journey. So, this whole thing with the family, I really got thinking about the family secrets in the Bible, in Genesis. There is nothing in your family tree, and no skeleton in the closet, that can even match what was going on in these biblical stories. Right? Nothing comes close to it. Adam separates from God. He feels shame. This is the symbol of introducing shame to consciousness. Abraham, representing our faith, has one son that he exiles, Ishmael, and the other son he's willing to make a human sacrifice of. Poor Isaac. I don't know what you'd think laying on the altar. Dad's getting ready to light the fire. Isaac, after going through that and suffering, he is tricked by his youngest son to give his blessing to the youngest son instead of the oldest, because they were twins. He's tricked by his own kid into doing what is against their culture. And then the trickster kid is tricked by his family. He was going to marry Rachel, and his uncle tricked him and gave him Leah instead because they had the veils on. So, there's a lot of stuff going on, and that's just the surface of it. There's a lot more than that. And, of course, Joseph, with this favored status because his mother was Rachel, which was Jacob's favorite wife, created all this animosity, all this insecurity, and unworthiness. Can you imagine what the other brothers felt like, how unworthy they were because they didn't get a coat? But this shadow side, this family secret side, this dark part of us, if we don't latch onto it, we can move through it to really find the worthiness, to find our faith, to find our joy, to find our shift in our mentality, our thinking, leads us into imagination, which is what Joseph represents to us. Joseph represents that power of imagination. So the spiritual journey to developing our imagination, we were born with it. As we talked this morning about dreams, and Stacey and I were saying, as we get older, it's harder to come up with dreams. When you're young, you got all kinds of dreams because nobody told you, oh, it's only a dream. It doesn't have substance. But we know that the imagination, where do ideas come from before you have them? It's from the divine mind that's saying what we can conceive and believe we can achieve. Not because it's been done, but because we are being driven to do it. But our imagination, we often use it very unwisely with worry, fretting, thinking of the what awfuls, what could happen. I mean, boy, it can go rampant. It's like a wild horse when we go down that journey. Or sometimes we belittle our imagination and go, it's only our imagination. You kind of discount it. I mean, how many times have you had that inclination that you should go a different way when you're driving? Or that you should call somebody, or that you're being told this, and then you kind of fluff it off. It's only in my imagination. It's only, dream or whatever. But once we harness it, once we understand that this is the activity of God working through us, we can use this to find resolution where there seems to be no solution. We can't see the solution because we've never done it before. It's a brand new thing. The imagination lets us see how to do that. It lets us do things that have never been done before. Everything that's ever been invented was only an idea in the mind of God. Until somebody didn't say, oh, it's only my imagination. Who wants a wheel? No use for it at all. Finally gets into manifestation. So Joseph's story, and think of this, remember, all the characters are parts of us. So our imagination, it's been shut down. It's been thrown into this pit. We get sold into slavery. And then we head over to Egypt, land of plenty compared to Canaan, which is desert. And he gets sold to a man by the name of Potiphar. Potiphar was the head of Pharaoh's army, and he was a very powerful man in Pharaoh's government. In Hebrew, it means dedicated to Ra, the sun, the god of the Egyptians. We're really talking about the executive power of the mind, that from that pit of despair, that there's something quickened in our mentality, the executive power, the deciding power, that I can decide it's time to make a shift. It's time for something else to go. And he did very well there. Joseph just really handled things well. All that training he got from his dad was put to use. The household prospered. And here's this gorgeous young man who's been out in the sun, looking really good. And Potiphar's wife notices him. And every time he's working in the house, the wife comes over and settles up to him and tries to seduce him. And Joseph, he really centers himself and says, no, this is not my choice. And you can think of this wife in this seduction routine as being our sense consciousness. How many times do we have a goal that we want to go to, but our sense consciousness takes us a different way for whatever reason. And when we deny our sense consciousness, there's a hurt. I always go back to dieting. When I really wanted to go get that hot fudge sundae and I didn't, I feel like I need to have something special to replace it. My body is still craving something. I can taste that hot fudge. So we know we have these responses when we deny ourselves that very thing that we want. And Joseph he chooses honor, respect, integrity. So it's like the imagination is finally being disciplined to imagine where you really want to go as to what might be the quick fix in the moment. Well, the wife, as the story goes, was so hurt when Joseph denied her that she rips off his cloak and tells his wife that he tried to rape her. Now, Potiphar, who really liked Joseph, had to do something. He can't deny his wife. And because of his position, normally Joseph would have been killed for doing that. He's a slave. He dares to touch the wife, yada, yada. But instead, Potiphar had him sent to jail. Back in the pit again. gee, just thought I'd get out of it, living in this great household, all this abundance around me, and here I am. Through no fault of my own, I'm sent to the pit. I did nothing wrong. I was honorable. I was with an integrity, and look what happened. Anybody been there? Not fair. Not fair what happened. But Joseph, remember, our imagination getting disciplined. In the Bible, it says a lot of times, and it came to pass. If there's any phrase that you ever remember from any sacred book, remember that it came to pass. Nothing stays. We're not stuck in that hallway of hell, the hellway of hell, yeah. We're not stuck in the pit, you know. When I did fire walking a few years back, you walk on fire, you don't stand on fire, right? You walk through it, move through it. The more direction, the more discipline we can to move through that, the least damage that it does for us. So if you look at Joseph, once again in the pit or in jail, that no matter where we are, this can be a gateway to our own greatness for what it is we want to do. Prospering where we are. Prospering in the sense of growing, of expanding our consciousness. So while he's in prison, he heard a couple of staff of the Pharaoh talking, and they'd both been thrown in prison for trying to kill the Pharaoh. And they were just beside themselves. One of them was the Pharaoh's cupbearer who would taste the wine before he drank it. The other was the baker. And they had had some dreams. They didn't know what they meant, and Joseph overheard them talking. And the cupbearer said, I had this dream where I was taking grapes and squeezing it into cups, and the Pharaoh was drinking it. There were 3 cups that I squeezed out of the grapes. And Joseph said, interpretation comes from God. And God is saying to you, in 3 days, you'll be back in your job. Well, the baker was very happy to hear this really good interpretation of the dream. So the baker says to Joseph, well, I had a dream too. Maybe you could tell me what it was about. He said, there were 3 baskets sitting on my head filled with bread that I had made. And birds came and started pecking on the bread and ate all of it and started pecking on my head. And Joseph said, God interprets dreams. It says in 3 days, the Pharaoh's going to take off your head and put you on a pole, put it on a pole. And it was, of course, it was the baker who was trying to kill the Pharaoh, and that's exactly what happened. And as the cupbearer got released, Joseph said, hey, when you get up there, remember me. I'm in here through no fault of my own. Do something to get me out of here. But the cupbearer, he got caught up in being back with all his friends and stuff, and he totally forgot about it. Until the Pharaoh started having dreams. And the Pharaoh dreamt that there were 7 lean cows eating 7 fat cows. And he couldn't figure out what it meant. None of his wise teachers could figure out what it meant. And then, finally, the cupbearer remembers Joseph in prison. He calls him in to interpret the dream. And Joseph says, God interprets. And that divine mind interprets. He says, what that means is that you will have 7 very abundant years, and then you will have a famine. That's the lean cows eating the fat cows. And the Pharaoh was so impressed, he took Joseph out of prison, and he became the 2nd most powerful person in the land of Egypt. So, metaphysically, remember, that's us. That's us. That executive power of the mind, allowing our imagination to, one, receive the guidance, to interpret the guidance, to understand the guidance that we're receiving, and to allow us to move from that darkness into a greater light, a greater expression. Think about a diagnosis of health, how that can put you in the pit of despair. And then you can be lifted up through imagining what health looks like on the other side. Think about it with relationships, some that have seen damage behind repair. But yet all of a sudden you get an idea of how you could open the door again and make that connection. Right? See, there's all kinds of ways the imagination can open those doors to something that's never been done. That's why you're imagining it, to create a greater prosperity for you in your life. So the family drama. It goes just as Joseph said. They had 7 years of plenty. He saved lots of corn. The 7 is always a wonderful physical number, physical manifestation, metaphysically. And so as they've had these years of plenty, then they have the famine. So during the famine, Joseph's family, who's back in Canaan, who wasn't a very prosperous place anyway, they are starving. Now remember, Jacob thinks his favorite son is dead. And he sends the brothers to Egypt to beg the Pharaoh for some food. And there's a whole other series of stories here of Jacob sending his sons to the Pharaoh. Ultimately, the whole family comes, and the Pharaoh, of course, or Joseph knows who they are, but they don't recognize him. Remember, the last time they saw him, he was in a pit. And he is now a grown man. This is a couple decades later. And after Joseph does play with them a little bit, I will say that. But he does agree. you know, wouldn't you know, that little, just let me make him sweat a little bit. He finally introduces himself back to his family, and his brothers are scared. Oh my goodness, this is the second most powerful person in the land, and we are here asking, you know, for food. And his brother laughs it off and reunites him. His father is thrilled to have his favorite son back, and he puts him up to live in the Pharaoh's temple, and the great, you know, castles, whatever you want to call it back then. And he said to his brothers, even though you thought you intended it for harm, God meant it for good. Even though you intended it for harm, God meant it from good. That ultimately, in the end, it's all good. If it's not good, it's not the end. I often go back to that. Oh boy, what does this tell us about forgiveness? What does this tell us about forgiveness? And if all these characters are part of us, where's the biggest forgiveness come to? Ourselves. Those parts of ourselves that, you know, maybe our faith wasn't as developed. Maybe our love was a little on the underdeveloped side. Maybe we didn't have the willingness to let the goodness of God overtake us. Maybe we weren't ready yet to jump up with zeal to do those things that were ours to do. Whatever that was, we all had that little checklist against ourselves, and we performed below where we would like to be. So remember that no matter what we had done, even if that little niggling thing about, you know, getting revenge is there, letting it go. Well, Charles Fillmore said there are opportunities everywhere, just as there have always been. And Joseph is such a prime example. There are opportunities always, just as there have always been, everywhere. Being able to have that sight, to be able to see the possibilities in front of us. So I like to imagine Joseph's journey, our journey of our imagination, to really hone and develop this, to discipline our thinking to master the situation. Discipline the thinking which is inside as opposed to looking at the outside. The imagination of going from the pit to the pinnacle. When you feel like you're in jail, remember that God provides the bail. We're never stuck in jail. The bail, that way out, is always there within us. Circumstances cannot trap us. Be non-resistant to the prospering power of spirit. I wonder what Joseph thought when he was sold to an Egyptian hierarchy within the government. You know, they weren't, the Hebrews and the Egyptians weren't exactly friends at this time. And he could have said, oh, I'm just going to do minimal and get by so he doesn't kill me. But no, instead, he really helped Potiphar prosper his household. So be non-resistant to those opportunities to prosper our relationships, to get more time to do those things, whatever those opportunities present themselves. Forgiveness over retribution. There is no getting even. There is no getting even. As unfair as that sounds, there is no getting even. Right? And you see this family. Esau forgave his brother Jacob for the awful he'd done. Joseph forgives his brothers. We see this forgiveness as a stream that goes through all of these ideas of our spiritual development as told in the Old Testament. Now, here's a little test for you. Who said this? By enjoying the process, you create a dream come true. By enjoying the process, you create a dream come true. I thought you might know this, Razz. It's a musician. David Bowie. Yeah. Yeah, you know, see, it doesn't have to be in the Bible to be inspirational. I love this. Enjoying the process, you create your dream. So our imagination and positive thinking allow us to move forward into that intuition. I mean, that is one of the greatest things we ever have, that higher level positive thinking, where you can actually hear that idea from the mind of the divine getting ready to be expressed through you, allowing the good of God to overtake you. So we're going to take a little time in meditation, and my goodness, I guess I forgot to put the words up there. I am so sorry. The song going in. Some people, do you know it? I am so blessed. Oh no, we were going to do morning, morning prayer, I surrender. Well, if not, we can do the...
I can stand over here.
Oh, okay. And maybe other people, you may know this one. You may know more words than you think.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every love I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment of the day.
Stronger every moment of the day. Let's just take a moment to close our eyes and to focus on that inner strength. To focus on that divine breath that is breathing us. That presence of spirit around us, within us, and as us. As we settle into this moment, just being conscious of those multitude of experiences we have had in our life. Being conscious of the goodness of God that has overtaken us, been with us at our darkest moments, so patient to be there with us as we move through it at our own speed, at God's speed, however long it takes. Knowing that there is more beyond that, more for us to co-create, more love, more peace, and more harmony. I invite you to allow yourself to go into that dark space, that place of uncomfortableness, that place perhaps where you feel trapped or where you feel you have failed, that jail of your own mind. As you feel that constricture, I'm reminded of the prayer of Habib's. And today we use that same prayer for ourselves. In our prayer, we are open to the blessings. We are ready to receive. And we look to the universe to expand our territory, whatever that might be for us, our connections with others, our time to play. The ability of our body to be limber. Enlarge my territory. We look for that divine guidance, that still small voice that whispers to our soul, assisting us, strengthening us, intuiting us to the highest good. And affirming that as we move forward, that there is no harm to others. That like that farmer, we raise others so that we too might be raised. We share our very best. knowing that there is only one power and one presence operating in and through us. And from that pit, there are moments in our life when we are at the pinnacle, standing in the sun and smiling, breathing it in. And our prayer is still the same. Bless us, enlarge our territory, guide us, keep us from doing harm. That God is our partner in all things and at all times, no matter what the outer appearance. So for this truth, for this awakening, and for the power of imagination which is quickening within us in new and surprising ways, we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Please join me in singing this song. Infinite Spirit, source of all love, we are endowed with your holy light. We are connected and Spirit-filled. May we remember to live by your will. You have provided our every need. May we forgive all errors perceived. May we in darkness turn to the light, seeking your wisdom, vision and light, trusting your guidance in every ordeal. The power of love, our sword and our shield, our power and glory to be revealed. Sing praise to your Spirit forever.
Thank you. So spiritual practice for the week. You know, there's a saying, go big and go home. This is go big and go God. That being a visionary, you become a self-fulfilling prophet. I hold that true for each and every one of you, being a self-fulfilling prophet. Don't predict the future, create it. I'm going to create some future right here by inviting Razz back up to the mic. Take her away.
If I had only known the last time would be the last time, I would have put off all the things I had to do. I would have stayed a little longer, held on a little tighter. Now what I'd give for one more day with you. Cause there's a wound here in my heart that something's missing. And they tell me that it's gonna heal with time. But I know you're in a place where all your pain has been erased. And knowing yours are healed is healing mine. The only stars in heaven, one belong to me and you. There ain't no such thing as broken. And the old will be made new, and the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. I know the road you walked is anything but easy. You picked up your share of scars along the way, but now you're standing in the sun. You fought your fight and your race is run. The pain is all 1,000,000 miles away. The only scars in heaven won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new, and the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. Hallelujah, 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 for the hands that hold you now. Not a day goes by that I don't see you. You live on in all the better parts of me, until I'm standing with you in the sun. I'll fight this fight and this race I'll run, until I finally see what you can see. Oh, the only stars in heaven, they won't belong to me and you. There's no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new, and the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now.
Thank you. Boy, it's hard not to cry during that one.
Thank you for sharing your voice and your music, but I want to especially thank you for sharing your smile, which always lights up the room every time you're here. So this is the time during our Sunday service when we engage in the sacred act and practice of generosity. Our Unity community is in constant appreciation to each of you for the support coming to Unity through many channels: online, mail, and love offerings shared in person. Our circle of generosity includes an act of gratitude for these many gifts by sharing of our gifts with others. A portion of our tithes, the third quarter, will be sent to Carefree Medical in support of them providing care for those who would otherwise go without. Let us take a moment to deeply immerse ourselves in gratitude by singing "I Am So Blessed."
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am
The circle of generosity is the sacred exchange of giving and receiving. With joy and enthusiasm, we each become part of that sacred exchange, sharing our blessings to complete the circle. If you are sharing in person, you can leave your love offering envelope in the glass jar on the table when you are complete with blessing it. You can use the QR code to donate through PayPal using your cell phone. Whether we are sharing online, in person, or through the mail, allow the power of generosity to flow through you as you make this sacred act of giving. If you are at one of the tables, raise your hands up with palms outward to symbolically bless the glass jar on the table. If you're at home, consider putting your hand over your heart as we affirm together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Now let us stand as you are able as we sing our closing song, I Choose Love, followed by the prayer of protection.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace on our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. I choose love. We choose love. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God is within us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, God.